What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over some tips for how to effectively use double pump, or what people call double pumps. Basically, comboing your pump shotgun with something like the repeater rifle or mammoth pistol. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below if you want this combo to stay in the game or get patched out next season. Because to be honest, I've held off on making this video because I did not expect this combo to persist in the game for as long as it has. I thought for sure the repeater would have been nerfed by now, but it still stands, and comboing the pump and the repeater is the most lethal combo in the game right now. It seems complicated, but all you're really doing is swapping weapons after every shot back and forth. And it's more about getting that like rhythm and timing down and being able to consistently keep your reticle on the opponent than anything else. If you're someone who has to like flick shot for every pump shot, or like make huge adjustments where you're only on the opponent for a brief period in time, that is not ideal for this. You want to keep your reticle on the opponent or as close to the opponent as possible the entire time. That way you don't have to take as much time making an adjustment once you get on the weapon that you're on. And like I said, it just comes down to like timing and rhythm. It's hard for me to tell you anything to you that's just going to automatically make you better at like double pumping or swapping weapons after every shot. It's something you just got to practice with and get the feel for. But once you do get the feel for it, it's like pretty simple. One thing you can do to make it easier is that you could just keep the fire button held down the entire time and then just hit your weapon swaps, and the weapon will actually shoot as soon as it's ready. So you could just hit your shoot button once, keep it held, and then alternate from weapon to weapon. And the moment the weapon is able to shoot, it'll shoot, and then you can swap back to the other one. Personally, I don't do this. I prefer to, hit my shoot button every time I want to shoot, because sometimes I might need to take a slight bit to like make sure my aim is on point when I shoot. But some people do find it easier to just keep the fire button held down and just hit the swap buttons. This is like an old trick from back when double pump was actually in the game in the super early days of Fortnite. I think with this combo, it is much better to be consistent than fast. I think where a lot of people go wrong is that they're trying to do everything way too quickly, and then that results in them either missing shots because they're trying to rush through everything, or they end up not firing their weapon at all because they swap too fast. You can actually like interrupt the shots of these weapons if you swap too fast, and then you end up like not firing, or it like seems like you fire but you don't get the shot off. What happens a lot of times is that people's gun ends up not shooting because they end up swapping too quick. And like, nobody is perfect. I'm guilty of this myself, but I feel like most often the times where I mess this up is when I'm trying to do everything too quickly. And you just want to, be a little bit more slow and like intentional with your, decision making of these things. Like I said, it's better to be consistent than fast. If you take, a slight bit of a second to make sure your aim is on point, that's better than missing a shot. And if you take like a slight bit second to make sure you swap properly, that's better than not shooting at all, And that's also why I talk in so many of my videos about how important it is to just get comfortable fighting. Because if you're nervous and you're scared in a fight, I think you're way more likely to mess these things up and feel like you have to rush that timing and do everything as fast as possible. Like, the whole point of this combo being good is that you're comboing two really high damage weapons. So even if you aren't the fastest at swapping or the best at swapping, you're just comboing two really high damage weapons, so it'll work out in the end and you'll get that damage. And I feel like also the speed and like comfortability of this will also just come with playtime. That's why like a lot of creative maps can be so good, because you can just get in a bunch of fights incredibly fast. When it comes to hip firing the mammoth pistol and the explosive repeater rifle, I feel like you just want to focus on the dot in the center of your crosshair as much as possible. I'm not 100% sure if these weapons have like perfectly accurate hip fire, but based on my experience, it seems like they do. I shockwave a lot with the repeaters, and I'm pretty high up or pretty far away shooting down at people, and if the dot is on them, it seems to hit. And then the same is true with the explosive, or with the mammoth pistol. I've hit, decently far hip fire shots on people, or shots from the air, and I've seen other players do this, and it pretty much just seems like if the dot is on the person with the mammoth pistol, the shot will hit. I don't even wait for first shot accuracy most of the time when using this weapon in medium to long range. I just go off the dot, and from what I've seen, it seems like if the dot is on them, the shot will hit. I could be a bit off on that, but just in practice, put that dot on them, hit the shoot button, and you have really good odds of hitting the shot, especially in close range, because if your dot is on them, then most of your crosshair is going to be on them because the dot is. I feel like with the repeater and the mammoth pistol, I typically just try to get body shots. Sure, the headshot is nice, but I expect to get most of my damage in a fight with my pump. You know, if I'm able to hit like a high like 150 plus pump shot, swapping to the repeater or the mammoth pistol for like 80 or 90 is fine because we're going to go back to the pump and that's going to be the finishing shot. I feel like a lot of times if you stress the headshot too much with these, you just end up getting no damage at all, and that's not ideal. Like, I would rather take the consistent damage than the, you know, higher upside of the headshot. Like, if you can hit the headshot, that's nice, but it's not the total concern of myself. I'm just concerned about being consistent. And it was the same way with double pump back in the day. I would just try to body them as much as possible because you're swapping between two close to 100 damage body shot weapons. You're only going to take like 2 or 3 shots to get a kill. When I'm using the repeater in close range, I get asked about this a lot on stream, like if I'm concerned about the self damage or if I do damage to myself, like why I did that. Typically, I'm not really concerned with it at all because this combo just throws out so much damage in such a short time span. I'm just concerned about hitting my opponent at all. So, like, if I pump them for 100 and then I hit them for the repeater for, like, 80 and do 40 to myself, like, sure, we did take some damage there, but I'm about to swap back to the pump anyways, and that's 180 damage at that point. So we just need a mediocre pump shot to get that kill. And that's with 2 pump shots. So, like, I'm oftentimes just not really concerned about the self-damage. I feel like overthinking the self-damage and worrying about it too much is just going to likely result in you taking too much time to hit the shot and then the enemy shooting you more and getting more damage on you than they would have otherwise if you just hit them and hit yourself at the same time. Like, it isn't ideal to damage yourself, don't get me wrong, like, you don't just want to be exploding yourself, but it's just not my like primary concern when fighting. I'm just concerned about, you know, hitting the opponent and getting damage on them. You can shoot the ground like behind the opponent if they are too close to you to like avoid the self damage, or if there's like any sort of structures around, like if you're in a house, sometimes like looking up and shooting the ceiling, a wall next to the opponent, things like that can make it really easy just to get some damage on the opponent. And like I was saying, I'm not that concerned. I'm not the most concerned about the repeater damage. It's just something to fill the time between pump shots with a solid amount of damage. So doing things like that can be nice, and it can avoid the self damage. Basically, if the opponent is between you and the explosive, I feel like very rarely do I take explosive damage because the opponent is like basically being used as like a shield at that point. So like shooting the ceiling or like the wall next to them, the ground behind them, if they're in between you and the blast, then you often won't end up taking damage. And if I am using the mammoth pistol, pump, and repeater, which has been one of my favorite weapon combos in the game right now, using all 3 of these weapons, I like to start the fight with the pistol and then go to the shotgun, and then from that point alternate between pump and repeater. I feel like one of the things that makes the repeater nicer than the pistol as far as like just a close range weapon is the fact that the repeater has multiple shots, so you're not like required to be perfect. Because if you're using like MK pump pistol and you miss your mammoth pistol shot, then you really need some high damage pump shots to really make up for it. But with the repeater, you could just kind of have not perfect aim all the time and it's still fine because your gun has multiple shots and it's also shooting an explosive, so you don't even have to hit the opponent. But if you have all 3, then you can take advantage of the pistol super easily just by opening the fight with the pistol. And I feel like that's another thing that kind of makes this 3-weapon combo so good. Not only is the mammoth pistol a great medium to long range weapon for just a lot of damage in a short time span, and you can really play off cover and play safely with it, but also you have the ability to just go mammoth pistol, pump, repeater, and then the person is probably dead. And if they're not, you're swapping back to the pump and then pump, repeater from that point forward. And it's very hard to be outclassed in close range fights with this combo, especially by just something like pump spray weapon or lever spray weapon, or even just the drum shotty. The drum shotty is obviously super easy to use, but I feel like from a damage output perspective, it gets outclassed by pump repeater or mammoth pistol pump repeater very easily. So that is going to be it for this video. Like I said, I kind of held off on making it because I thought it would get patched, and also there's not that much to really talk about. At the end of the day, I feel like 80% of using this combo well is just going to be your aim and like being comfortable swapping weapons. And I feel like there's very few things I can kind of tell you that's going to make it easier for you to swap weapons. So just something you've got to really practice and get the hang of. I would recommend getting used to it because there's times where like kind of metas like this pop up. And even if this meta does get patched, going like pump SMG and then back to pump has been something that's been meta in zero build for a while. So if you get comfortable weapon swapping, definitely think it'll benefit you in the long run. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below if you want this combo to stay. Personally, I'm fine at doing it. I win a lot this season. I have like a 10 KD, but I would like to see us hopefully return to like a more standard meta next season of like AR, shotgun, SMG. But let me know down in the comments below what you think, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.